started that platform, it was just one of those moments where you're sitting with your girlfriends and someone says, so what are you going to do to change the world? And I'm like, what can I think of quickly? And then I thought, I'm passionate about children and their use of digital media. I want to do that. And so that's how it started at first. But as I then had people who were sitting in that room saying to me, so how far are you with that? I then had to take action. And when I felt like I can't do this anymore, they'd be cheering me on, saying, this is important.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Moments with Nyengeterai. I'm so excited today about my guest, but over and above that, I just want to say thank you. I'm really grateful to the community, the amount of subscribers, the messages that you're sending. Thank you so much. Truly, truly, I'm humbled by your love. And we'll continue to get the guests that you're asking for, the topics that you want us to talk about. I hope that we're meeting your needs and we'll continue to try and meet all your other needs. So today I have a very interesting guest. Interesting because legal, then gone IT, gone lots of stories. Edith, welcome.
Thank you, Nyenge.
It's so good to have you. I'm really excited about the conversation we'll have today.
Me too.
So for those people who don't know Edith, please introduce yourself. Who's Edith? What does she do?
Okay. Edith has a very long story behind her. But in a nutshell, I am a lawyer by profession. I have over 20 years now. This will be my 22nd year since I graduated from law school. And over the years, I have worked in government, in corporate, in two law firms. And this has all brought me to this space where I'm using all those experiences to do what I do now, which is work with young people mostly around digital, online safety, digital media use, and just helping them to be more productive online. And then the other thing about me, I'm also a Toastmaster, and I wear a few hats in Toastmasters.
Oh, nice.
And what else? I am a mom of 4, and my children, I've got a very interesting mix. The oldest is 26, and the youngest is 7.
Wow. Your youngest could be your oldest could be your youngest daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting, but that's fun. Edith, first of all, let's go back to why did you decide to do law? I mean, when you were young, take me to how you grew up. What motivated you to then get into law?
The story of my life, I'm just realizing, has been about twists and turns. Because I didn't want to study law, actually. I wanted to go into tourism. And because I loved people, I loved traveling, mainly the traveling. That's what I was really attracted to. But as luck would have it, I didn't qualify for the program, the tourism program at the time.
Really?
Funny enough, the requirements were higher than those for law. So I had 13 points. Tourism wanted 14 as the minimum. And law was my second choice, only because my dad felt I should be a lawyer. He was so intent on me being a lawyer. And he got his wish. That's how I ended up being. But I have no regrets. It has been such a fulfilling journey of self-discovery and also just becoming this person that people respect.
Yeah, Margaret, I know, our learned friends.
Yes.
I was like, so what about some of us? Yeah? We're not learned.
If you haven't gone to law school,
we're not learned. So a learned friend, doctors, engineers, this is people.
And the others. Yeah, no. So that's how I ended up in law school. And because I didn't really go there intentionally, I didn't know what I was going to do like what I would specialize in. And I was swaying between corporate law, family law, labor law, just following the crowd. I even wanted to get into environmental law at some point. So you'll find my transcript is just a lot of things. Yeah. But as I journeyed at uni, at some point in 2000, I got an opportunity to go to the Netherlands through a program called Unitwin, Universities Twinning. And that opened my eyes up to the world of human rights law. I knew about it, but not in practice. And I met some professors from the universities in the Netherlands. And I thought, yeah, I could do human rights law. So that's what I then set my heart on. And I was going to go and do my master's. I told you my life's about twists and turns. But that same year that I went to the Netherlands, my dad died in that year. So even though I already now had this roadmap that I'm going to go to the Netherlands, I'd even secured a provisional scholarship and everything. I had to change plans. And then I found myself going into a law firm. From there, I went into government, still as a labor officer, law officer. And then I went to the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe, where I then discovered the broadcasting spectrum and the telecommunications space. And it just changed my perspective. I'll tell you a secret. And again, I didn't know what broadcasting regulation was about.
I think most people don't.
I'll figure it out when I get there. And so because I didn't know much, I had to learn fast. And that helped me to find a new avenue of law that I'd never considered.
Wow, that is very interesting. For me, the fact that you wanted to do tourism, then you got into law because your dad wanted you to do law, and you wanted to travel. Take me back a bit to your childhood. As a young child at school, what were some of the foundations that you believe have helped you especially in then changing and being able to accept and do law, and then, just because I believe that a lot of foundational things happen when we're young that really kind of like guide us, and sometimes we don't realize it, but then when you look back, you thought, oh yeah, that thing. Take me back to that. Do you have any?
Yeah, definitely. We grew up moving from place to place a lot. We started off in Chinhoyi, then moved to Bulawayo. And while we're in Bulawayo, we lived different parts of Bulawayo. And with all that, it was about adjusting. And then I went to school in Gweru for 4 years. And then we went back to Chinhoyi. But by then, I'd left at 2 years and then went back when I was 13 or 14. It was like I'm starting afresh. This is a new place again. And while in Chinhoyi, we moved again from one place to the other. And what that did for me was it taught me to pivot, to make friends, to also be comfortable in new environments, and to be adventurous and curious about my environment. And I think that's what has helped me to comfortably get into tech, even though I felt sometimes that I don't belong because I don't really have tech qualifications. But it was like being back at that time when I was a Shona little girl going to Bulawayo I couldn't speak Shona. In Ndebele, I couldn't speak English. And everybody else would not understand
then what you Shona.
But somehow I managed to quickly find my space, learn the languages fast, make friends, and get people who would be my advocates. And I see that even now in the tech space. I didn't understand the language at times, the culture, and also that self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. This is not my space. But though people would say, you've got this, and you should really use what you have, which is your legal background, to make an impact in the tech space. And so that background of being shuffled around has helped me to be able to fit into a unique places that I ordinarily probably not have
Wow.
ventured into.
You know what I love about what you're saying? You talked a lot about advocates, about having people. I think, I want you to dwell on that and just really break it down and why it's so important, because I think a lot of people don't have that opportunity to have advocates, and why it's so important to have those kind of people in your life.
Yeah, because, when you are venturing into new things or finding yourself, you can have self-doubt and you can actually, talk yourself out of things. But having people who believe in you and who keep reinforcing the fact that you are in the right place, you're the right person for it, it gives you confidence and encouragement to keep pushing, and also accountability. Because I found that some of the things I've said, I'm going to start a business around this, and then it's just an idea. If I didn't have those people in my circle, would be like, hey,
time is going.
What's happening? Then I probably wouldn't. And when I started, I have a platform that I started almost 10 years ago called Digital Age Conversations. When I started that platform, it was just one of those moments where you're sitting with your girlfriends and someone says, so what are you going to do to change the world? And I'm like, what can I think of quickly? And then I thought, I'm passionate about children and their use of digital media. I want to do that. And it was that's how it started at first. But as I then had people who were sitting in that room saying to me, so how far are you with that? I then had to take action. And when I felt like I can't do this anymore, they'd be cheering me on to say, this is important. We need this. You need to do it. It takes you to a whole other level when you've got that support system. Even the people will say to you, where you want to go, can you just please focus? Come back.
You're losing it. Please come back. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. And you know what I really liked when you were talking about pivoting and that you were a legal person and people were saying to you, use that to get into tech. Why tech and why children specifically? And what do you actually do so that people can understand, and how you can help parents as well in the same process?
Okay, that's an unloaded question.
I know, right? Sorry. But lawyers are used to those kind of questions.
Our attention span is very little. But no, first of all, why children? I've always loved children. And I would like to believe children have always loved me. So anything that is centered on the best interest of a child, I feel compelled to be part of that. So even for my dissertation, when I did my dissertation at uni, my topic was around birth registration, because I in my spare time, to also make ends meet while at uni, I used to do research work, and I worked with child-headed families. I worked with children who had no identity because they were never registered at birth, really. So it's been a process of me just giving my all to the people that I'm most passionate about. I'm really concerned about future generations, and I feel that I should play some part in impacting these lives as they go forward and become future leaders. I feel like one day I'll have to take account for what I did for them. So that's why the children. And then also because I almost always have children from other spaces in my home, and sometimes I have to discipline them in ways that they're not used to. So, the work that I now do has sort of been also influenced by that. When I see how other children are being raised, like our work is digital media use. And when we say digital media use, it's how are you using your phone, your iPad, your laptop, your digital device to impact, to entertain yourself, to educate yourself, and how much time are you spending there? Is it something that is good for you in the long run? Is it something that is going to benefit you as a person, but also other people. How are you interacting with people that you have access to if you are now on social media or you have access to the internet? So, yeah, so that's the way the connection is, because as the kids come to my house for social reasons mostly, they don't get off their phones. They won't even raise their head to say good morning or good evening or to acknowledge people. Sometimes they won't eat, they won't sleep. So I saw it in my home, first of all. And then also with my own children, the way they use the devices. And then outside of that, the things they would tell me about the cyberbullying and the addictions that they get to have when they're online. This is where the digital age conversation started. It was more of a platform for us just to discuss as parents, as educators, and also with the children, how they're using their tech, what they're experiencing when they're online, and if they have any challenges, how we could help them. But in the process, I also discovered that these children are not as bad as we think. Yes, they will be naughty here and there and pretend they are 14 or 13 just to get onto a social media app, or some of them will buy a line and a phone, a gadget that parents don't know about. Yeah, they'll do that. But there are those who are actually doing some really incredible things like advocacy. Like there was this young boy who was saying he's doing some program where he wants to help other young people who want to get into a marketing space. And he's done so much research and he knows all about the software. And all this is being done online. And he's connecting with people in the same space to get ideas. So it's not all bad, but still they need guidance, they need protection. And I've noticed that in my work that they're very tech savvy, but they're not digitally literate. And when we are saying what we mean by digital...
I was about to say, please, can you just explain? Because you know how someone thinks when you say tech, they already think tech, digital, same word, but it's not. So can you break down?
So
there's
the tech savviness where you know your software and your hardware. Like they don't need manuals. They get in there and they've got it. Even my 7-year-old, she can do that. But for them to understand how to relate to other people, this digital citizenship part of it. You know, like when you go for your road test, you're told you drive on the left, you give way, whatever it is, depending on the country that you're in. We don't have that same thing in the digital world. So digital literacy means you have to learn how to be when you're online, how you navigate those platforms, how to avoid overwhelm because there's just so much coming at you, how to self-regulate, to say, okay, this is enough. I have other things I need to do in my life. Let me stop here. Let me do that. To also know that when you are in a space where there are people and you're on your gadget, what is it doing to the other people? There's a term called fubbing, and a lot of young people do it. I've discovered some of them do it deliberately. At first I thought, okay, it's just a habit that they don't even realize. So fubbing is where someone comes to speak to you, or someone is in your space and you're constantly on your phone. You're looking down at your phone the whole time. So you're snubbing the person with your phone. My daughter was telling me the other day that, you know what I do when I don't want to speak to people? I just pretend to be busy.
Oh my God.
Because I'll know they'll eventually walk away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so because of such practices, and we want them to be people who not only have a good relationship with tech individually, but have a good relationship with the communities in the digital world and the communities outside the digital world. Find that balance, which is really important.
I think so, yeah.
You know, these children, I feel like they are a social experiment in a way, because they are growing up in a world that no one else has ever experienced. And so the guidance will be sometimes hit and miss. So this is what we are trying to do, to be those people who will help them, to guide them, to also share the offline skills, to teach them soft skills, to teach them how to collaborate, how to engage, how to communicate, and how to lead in those digital spaces. And because of the impact of cyberbullying, we also want to teach them to be not to be bystanders, but to be upstanders, to say no when someone else is being bullied. And then also just not to bully each other. And then there's the issue of their digital footprint, because now everyone, even the in-laws, they will
go and
online.
Investigate. They
want to know. Another component of our work is media literacy, because there's a lot of misinformation that comes in online. And so we are teaching them to be able to decipher between the real and the fake, and to just use their critical analytical skills, not to just take everything as fact just because you got it online or on WhatsApp. And then another component, the legal aspects and the ethical aspects of being online. Now there's so many regulatory policies around digital media. For example, privacy and data protection, third-party data. If you've got other people's information on your phone, you have a responsibility to look after their phone numbers, their personal identifiable information. And then the photographs. Since we all got phones with cameras, now everybody thinks they should whip up their phone and
take a picture of you.
Take pictures, take videos, and do whatever with them. But we're teaching them that, no, the world has evolved, and it's come to a point where you could actually land yourself into serious trouble if you take someone's image and use it without their permission. Another thing is the ethics with generative AI now, where you can just not do your homework and have the AI do it for you. So we're working with them around, we're not saying don't use it, AI, don't use tech, but because plagiarism has always been there. Now it's just easier to do it, but we're trying to teach them to respect other people's intellectual property, but also come up with your own. Have something that you're proud to say, this is
mine.
Yeah. So that's
the natural. But what are the key problems that you're seeing, especially with young people? What are the key issues that you're seeing as you're going out there and talking to them? And what responsibility do you believe that we as parents need to take up and do? And what should we also look out for as parents?
Okay. As parents, you need to know your children. You need to know their personalities. I've got 4 children. Like I said, I need to know each one of them. So you are watching how much time they're spending online. You're also watching what they do when they're there. As they get older, they might not be so open, but you need to have an idea of what happens in their world when they're online. For those who have children who are gamers, you need to understand the evolution of gaming is no longer just a game.
Candy Crush, not Candy Crush kind of stuff. No,
there's now so much going on. The virtual world has become very immersed in social interactions, so much that your child is connecting with people from all over the world on any platform you can think of. So it's important that you really understand that platform. What is it? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? Because to answer you, the part about what children are being exposed to, they're being exposed to the world. That's like the biggest problem for me. Because once your child is exposed to just about anybody, it means the ideologies, the values, the philosophies, the mindsets, the culture, the habits, the ideas of other people, like billions of people. That's what we're talking about here, that your child has access to. And it can come directly through interaction on a one-to-one, but it can also come indirectly through them just scrolling. The minute they just go online, they're already exposed to other people, the way they dress, the way they look, the way they talk, the things they talk about. So as parents, it's important for you to have strong foundations for those children, to give them that, the compass for them to know who they are, what they're about, why it's important for them to have some kind of self-validation before they go into that world. And unfortunately, the way the social media platforms are designed for us to get likes and comments and followers, it has created this hunger for validation and attention, which is not just a problem for the young people.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
So before a child has access, and sadly, most of them just got access before we had these talks. So you need to talk to them. You need to also continuously guide them the way you would give your child a car and probably drive around with them for a while and really see that their confidence has grown and their resilience on these crazy roads is also grown. It's the same with the internet, except it's so much more that is required. And we need to lead by example because if you're going to be on your phone from the minute you wake up to the time you sleep, and there's no social interaction, there's no connecting with your child, that'll just become their reality. And don't expect them to treat other people any better, because children, no matter what you say, they'll always do what you do. They'll watch you and they pick up these little bad habits like texting and driving, like taking videos while you're driving, and how you talk to people online, how you also interact with everybody around you when you have your phone in your hand. Like no one else matters. So as parents, pay more attention, be more present, be intentional about your media use. Be honest with your kids. Like, I work a lot from my phone or my laptop. And we have agreed as a family that, sometimes I just have to be there because some of the things that I'm involved in, or some of the clients that I work with, because of time differences, I have to be online. Like till late in the night sometimes. So we agree that, the exceptions. You've got school, you need to be online for longer than usual, but let's also have a balance. Let's also manage. And it helps when you have that unified approach as a family. And when I say family, I'm also talking about the extended family, because they'll go to the uncles and the aunts and the grandmas and everything gets undone. And also the family in terms of when you've got blended families, when you're co-parenting. So if mom has different sets of rules from dad, it's just going to be difficult for that child. Even in the household, we've had kids who've said there's no consistency for us. So because my mom let me do things that my dad has said no to in that same household. Yeah, so that's really, but the main concern for me right now is that children are not having enough sleep. They are not, thanks to connectivity all the time.
Oh my gosh.
They are not sleeping.
I can imagine, and it's true, like when we were growing up, I was actually laughing the other day that when we were growing up, TV used to start at 5 p.m. You'd sit there and you'd see those stripes until, and then at 10:30 or so, gone. But then most of the time by 10:30 you'll be sleeping.
Yes.
But now
8 o'clock
things have evolved. And I remember the first time I gave my kids phones, the oldest one, the youngest one, didn't have a phone at that time. And I would say to them, you can't have phone during the week. And then you only have your phones on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But on Friday, when you go to bed, you must put your phone, come upstairs and put your phone by our lounge. If it's not there, know that tomorrow you won't have your phone. And it only works up to a certain time. Then they grow up. Then they're now wanting to work at night or to do their homework. And maybe you're tired. Like you say that maybe you're going to wake up and do something else. So what advice do you give to parents? What do we do? Because this world has evolved. I mean, even we are learning. Yeah. I think we're even behind sometimes, compared to our kids. How do we stay abreast? Because I mean, it's all well and good that you're talking to the kids. Mm-hmm. What about the parents? Who's teaching the parents? What can we do as parents?
So when we started in 2014, we were just talking to children. And then the teachers were like, these things, we need to also know about it so that when you're not here, we can also take over. So we then started talking to educators. And then they were like, no, it's not working because when they go home, it gets undone at home. So that's how the parents got into the mix. And now we have a whole, we are not only in, we actually rebranded last year. We're now called Digital Wellness Africa. And we have an arm called the Digital Wellness Trust, which is more for the children and especially those who don't have access, who don't have digital skills, because there's also that issue, which is another problem. So what we are doing now with Digital Wellness Africa, we're currently even running a campaign called the Digital Wellness Campaign, and we're saying digital citizenship is everybody's business. We are talking to parents. We have had sessions where we have parents only. We have had sessions where we have parents with their children as well. And it's just interesting.
I was about to say, when you are with I know, probably with the parents only, I don't know if you have that many questions, but I'm thinking when you have the parents and the children, what are your learnings? What are you learning there that you can help our other parents that are watching right now?
When we have I think it's really great to have parents with their children there, because we've got some interesting exercises that we do where we get them to be honest about their tech uses. And, when it's just parents on their own, they won't open up as much. But with the children there, either they will own up because they're embarrassed to put in a lie, or the children will be like, mom dad. Yeah. And then also for the children themselves, they get to hear from their parents with us as a support. Like, it's no longer just my mom was nagging me, because all the other parents also have a similar view. And then we've got the experts here who are also saying the same thing. So we encourage those discussions, either as your unit, as a family, or to come together with other families, even in your extended family, and talk about just the things that are happening now. Like last week, or the week before, I was attending the AI for Good Summit. So we started talking, and my family, my siblings and our kids, like, what is AI? What is good AI? What are we talking about? And then you find these kids, they know so much, and they've got some really interesting perspectives. So as parents, it's no longer an age where you can, hey, I'm a parent and I know it all and you should listen to me. It's time we have more child involvement around tech use, especially. Get to understand their world, because it is their world. This is just it. We have to accept it. And then to also give yourself grace, to know that you can't possibly keep up with it all. You can't. I do this for a living every single day, from my waking moment to my sleeping moment. And sometimes I'll even be like in the middle of the night and
right.
But I'm still so far behind. There's just so much that is happening so rapidly. We can't keep up with it all, and we shouldn't even try. But you should try to know something. You should know at least the basics. You should know also, have an idea what are the trends right now. What is the buzzword? What's going on? You don't have to go into depth as I would into it, but at least know what is happening in the tech space, in the digital world. Now they're saying we are the AI generation. We suddenly moved from the
information to AI.
Yeah, we moved from information to digital to
AI.
AI, and it's happening so fast. So if you sit there and think, "Oh, I can't. This is not for me," it will
Get left behind.
get left behind. But when you also find yourself not knowing much about it, ask them. Our research team is largely young people. They're the ones who are telling us. So this is what's happening. There's a new feature. I hadn't noticed Meta AI until one of them said, "Why don't you just use Meta AI?" And I'm like, "Oh, really?"
I know, right? For me, it was my daughter. I was like, "But mom, you know what the kind of work you do? If you just use Meta." I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let them help you figure it out, and don't put up these walls of "I am the parent." So, like my dad used to say to us, "I am not your friend."
I'm your
Now we have to be friends and still parent.
Yeah.
So that balance has to be there. Love them, nurture them, guide them, but discipline when necessary. Also put your foot down and say no when you need to. You know, what parents can do is to rely on their campus, their intuition. Parenting is still parenting, even now in this AI generation, in the digital world. It is still parenting. You still say no to some things and you say yes to others. And I think one thing that I've observed with parents is the peer pressure is real. So like when we were talking about asking parents, why did you buy a gadget for your child, especially the primary school level ones? Why did you buy a gadget? Oh, because everyone else was doing it, or because the school said they have to. And I said, do you know you have a legal duty, a moral duty to say no, or to say, can I have more information, especially when it's coming from the school? Because schools also just jumped onto it, and you realize that the people that they were copying, some of them, are now saying no. They're pulling out the devices again. So it's about, as parents, it's about trusting yourself. You know what maybe you know what's best for your child. You know what values you want your child to have. You know, you've got that expectation, which we believe is good for your child. So trust that and use that, even when you don't really know much about the tech space.
You know, you said something that really, like, kind of like rang a bell there, like, that the children are lacking sleep because of tech. I remember a friend of mine, we went to their place and she was like, these kids will never come out. Let me go and switch off the Wi-Fi. So as soon as she switched off the Wi-Fi, the doors were open. What's going on with the Wi-Fi? And you know, when you say the kids are not having enough, I just thought of that.
Yeah.
So what do parents do? Because especially if these kids are going with the gadgets in the rooms, how do we? It's all well and good for me to say, okay, you know, don't stay up on the phone for too long. What can we actively do? You know, especially
have a timer. Give them time periods, because even if they're doing schoolwork, it is not reasonable to do schoolwork forever. It doesn't happen like that. So no matter how diligent you are, you need to sleep at some point. Switch off the Wi-Fi if you can. Also take away the gadgets if you can, and continuously monitor, because some of the children that we have come across, you are talking to this child and they are zoned out. Like they are not even there. The body is there, but everything, the mind, the spirit is just somewhere else. And some of them are actually falling asleep. And when we talk to the educators, they'll be like, oh, you mean this person? They don't even stay up in class at all. So what's the point of investing in an education for your child to go and sleep at school? And that's why I was talking about peer pressure. That, you know, let's be honest with ourselves.
As parents,
Who are we doing it for? Is it to show people that I can provide for my children limitlessly? Or is it because you want the best for your child, but in a way that is rational, in a way that is also productive for them? So let's provide for our children. There's no shame in that. If I can give them the latest gadgets and unlimited access to Wi-Fi, that's okay. But consider also other aspects of their life, their ability to stay awake, their ability to remain focused on task, their ability to do other things besides be on their phone, because everything else also matters. So yeah, we need to just now go back to the basics and really look at whether the material aspect is what we want for our child. If that's your thing, then that's fine. But I think the reason why parents will invest in a really good education for their child is because they want that child to become something, to do something with that education. So if it's meddling and your child can't keep up at sports or in class, then something has to be done there. Yeah, so I think it's just also about really being honest with ourselves and going back to our fundamentals. What is it that we want as parents and also as families? And then use that. It's actually not even that complicated. Just not. The minute we start putting other people in the mix, like what are people going to think? You can actually just put unnecessary pressure on yourself.
That's so true. That's so true. What are your 5 key life lessons that you personally have learned from interacting with the kids, interacting in the digital space with a legal background, and just as you, Edith, as a person, what are the 5 key lessons that you have learned, life lessons that you have learned, and that have changed who you are today?
The first lesson I've learned is that you can be anything you want if you just put your mind to it. I didn't share that I am an author as well. And even though I loved writing, I started doing it from a very young age. I only published my first book just before I turned 40. And it was partly because I didn't know how to, but also partly because I thought, I can't. But I realized that you can be. So I can be an author, I can be a speaker, I can be an educator, even though I used to look down upon teaching.
I know, right? Someone actually said that too when I went to speak at one of these schools, actually. I went to speak at a school to teach teachers on personal branding and the impact of personal branding. And I was telling them that, when I was young, I never thought I wanted to be a teacher. And I was used to look down on it. And then the headmaster says, but you're good at teaching. When you're teaching, I was like, yeah, it's only later on that so I get you.
Yeah, so you can be. And you don't have to be one thing. That's the second part of that. You can be a number of things. And I love to talk to young people about how I didn't transition from being a lawyer to being a woman in ICT. I just blended those things. So I'm still in public service. I didn't leave the Public Service Commission behind. I'm still a public servant. I am still a lawyer. I am still someone who loves children and giving back to the community. You can be all those things and you don't have to be apologetic about it. I've also learned that in life, that myth about balancing things, for me, it's a myth because I failed this myth. But you can actually blend motherhood, being a friend, taking care of yourself, the self-care part, also pursuing new interests and doing well at whatever it is that you're doing. It's just about also understanding your seasons, your times and your seasons, and being receptive to the fact that sometimes you want something and it doesn't happen. It's okay. It might come later. It might never come at all. And I'm just content with where I am. Not easy, I must confess. But yeah, trying to have it all and balancing it all has been really impossible. So I've learned to give myself grace and to just honor the woman that I am in that moment, even if it's a time where I am not okay. last year, a significant part of the year, and even up to now, I have been struggling with a medical condition that at one point I was in crutches, and at another point I was bedridden. Some days when it's really cold, I struggle. But instead of crying all the time, like, oh my God, my life has come to a stop, which is what I was doing, and getting depressed about it, I try to find ways to just look for things that uplift me, whether it's music, whether it's a book, or sleeping, because God knows I need to sleep. We all do, especially after the children. So, giving myself more grace has been a good lesson. Still work in progress, because we can be hard on ourselves. But that's lesson number 3, I think.
Number 3.
The lesson number 4 has been that you are not alone in the world. You can actually find that you connect with people for a very short amount of time, and that's okay. And then other people are there for a lifetime, and that's great too. But I used to be really focused on, I need to have people around me. Like, I felt like if someone now has their life outside of me, then it's, especially when you look at your children or the children. I told you I've lived with children who are not mine and looked after them. And when they go out in the world and they're not doing their own thing, and I'm like, hey, what about me?
Yeah.
But that has taught me that, like, I moved on, or not moved on, but moved from my parents, from the people I grew up with. It doesn't mean I stopped loving them or I stopped caring. It just means life has changed. So I've evolved is the word. I've allowed myself to evolve and to reinvent as well while I'm at it. So, okay, now I have all this time to myself. Kids are out of the house. The husband is busy at work. What do I do? Myself, my friends are unavailable for whatever reason. Reinvention and evolving those are my rock words.
I get you.
Yeah. And then the last thing, the last life lesson has been to give back, continuously give back to the community. There's so much need, I've realized. And sometimes I find myself beating myself up because I can't do as much as I feel I can or should. But in all honesty, if we each do something for someone else, and it doesn't have to be about money or material things.
Exactly.
Some people just need an ear. Other people just need guidance or mentorship or direction to say, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? That's very important. Paying it forward. I learned this from one of my mentors called Fungai Ndemera. Fungai came at a time where my contract had just ended at work. And to just deal with the mental anguish and the grieving that was going on, then I was doing a lot of physical exercise and just trying to connect with women in that space. And that's how I met Fungai. And then we just ended up finding we had quite a lot in common. She became my mentor in the digital space, especially when I was starting to navigate social media and all that. And she was saying, she would do things for me without expecting anything in return. And she'd say, I need you to pay it forward. So paying forward is something that I really advocate for. It has so happened that in my paying forward, other people continue to pay forward and invest in me. And I know for young people, when I speak to them, they're like, why should I do things for other people? What if that person becomes better than me? Which has happened to me, by the way. But what I have seen is, besides just that good feeling that you get from it, those people might not show it or say it, but they will never forget exactly things you've done for them. And sometimes when you least expect it, it might not be them directly, but somehow you attract what you send out. And so, so giving back is a big thing for me, not because I want something in return, even though it would be nice if I got it, but I find so much value in knowing that I contributed something to the world. I need to also share that there's a school we work with in Bari. We're teaching these kids digital skills. These kids are coming from homes where they're either orphaned or their parents are alive, but the parents maybe crossed over to South Africa or something and turned their backs. Or they are there. Mom is maybe a prostitute, dad is criminal or whatever. And these children are exposed to a lot in that community. But there's a trust that is called I Am Zimbabwe Trust that we work with there. And, when someone just starts something to give back, it can just snowball into something more. So for that school, someone started the school. They get support in terms of food even, because some of the kids don't even have food. Yeah. So they get breakfast and lunch. They get the education for free. And then someone else donated computers, and they now have this nice little computer lab. And then a friend of mine told me about it and said, "You guys, can you come and teach them? Because the computers are just sitting." So we go there with volunteer and we share. And then one of our partners that we work with very well, Telco, brought in connectivity. So now they could go onto the internet. And it was just so amazing when we asked them to do vision boards, the things that they came up with. You see that, these children, they've not even crossed the road, Simon Mazuru, to go to the other side. And one of the
imagination.
When I'm on this side of the road, I know there's a radio station across there. I would like to be on radio. And at another telco event, we met someone come from Bufana from Sky FM. And we said, their children work with in Bari. They would love to come there. And it's work in progress, but they're going to go on radio. And that is like someone's dream coming true. To me, it might be insignificant, maybe because I have been on radio. But that's just the gravity of what we're talking about. You can change someone's life. You can change their perspective. You can change their whole worldview just by a simple act. Even an act of just helping them cross the road.
You know what you just said about, just making an impact and paying forward. Just reminds me of, Maya Angelou said, people never forget how you made them. They'll never forget how you made them feel. They might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Yeah. So for me, I just think that it's so important that what you're doing, imagine the impact that you're making in people's lives. So giving back, for me, is really, oh my gosh, it's a big thing. Yeah. And working with the kids. So just to close us off, we have a few fun questions that we ask. Nothing crazy, just a few fun questions.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is black because it goes with anything.
I like that.
And it's just a beautiful color.
Yeah. And animal? Favorite animal and why?
Ooh, I'm not an animal person. Yeah. But if I must choose, oh my goodness. I am so blank right now. I don't like dogs, but I like the cute, furry, fluffy ones.
Yeah.
Got what they're called.
Yeah. No, I'm not a dog person.
So that's probably my favorite animal.
Okay.
Because it makes me warm and fuzzy
when you look at them. That's a good one. That's a really good one. What are you reading currently?
I am currently reading, I'm reading a number of books. The one I'm reading mainly is Warrior Chicks. Please don't ask me the author. Holly, someone, I forgot. I've read it before and I just happened to see it and I thought I was going through another season of my health issues. So that book, it re-energizes. It reminds me of the warrior that I am, and that I can actually be feminine and be myself and be the soft-spoken lawyer and still be, impactful. And that I just have to tap into who I am and be. I love the way she writes as well.
Wow.
Because now one of those little words with long passages. It's
nice big letters.
And just like she's speaking to you.
I love that kind of writing as well, and I like it because it makes more of an impact, I believe, to me, And okay, and you're about to transition. This is your last year on Earth. What is the one thing that you could say, you know what, God, I'm ready to go because I've done?
I think when my youngest daughter has her first child, I am ready to go. Yeah, I just want to see my children's children and just see them reach adulthood.
Amen. A nice one. We've packed our bags. We have our passports. Where are we going? Where are we flying off to?
Now, that one is a crazy one because we're actually talking about my husband.
Oh.
And I'm like, there's so many options. Oh, my goodness. Where are we going? I want to go to, I know it's not called this anymore, Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha. I want to go to Gqeberha.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. This is the first time I've heard this. We're going to look for it. We're going to look. The first time I've heard this. Well, that's very interesting. Edith, it's been so much fun. I wish I could actually go on. I still have other things I want to ask about this digital space, but we're probably going to do a part 2. Right. But I really need, you're doing such amazing work and very important and very pivotal, and I want you to know that. And hence why I needed you to come on the platform. I think a lot of people need to see and to hear, because I think sometimes I always think that people see, not taking away from the superstars and everything. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think that people are making huge impact in people's lives, but they're just not given their flowers, And I'd really love to just, well, it's not physical flowers, but, just to say, you're doing an amazing work, you. And just one message to our viewers before we close.
I think in line with the campaign I told you about, I would say, watch your digital wellness, your digital well-being. And the times that we're living in are so full of distractions, full of noise, full of doomsday messages. And you need, for your mental health, for your physical health as well, for your relationships, and even for your financial status, you need to have a good relationship with your technology and also the people around you, whether it's online or offline. That'll be my parting word.
Oh, fantastic. As you heard from Edith, please, let's take care of ourselves with our digital wellness. And as you're going into the week, watch how much time you're spending on your iPad, iPhone, whatever phone you have, and also just how much time you're spending with the people that you live with. Because I think sometimes we forget that. And I think that's one of the key things that I got today, that we mustn't forget about the people that we live with, the people around us, and to communicate with them. So have a fantastic week. I'll see you next week. Bye.